Okay, I was trying to avoid politics. I mean, obviously, to some level, that has to come into play here, and I'm gonna try to keep, mostly keep politics out of this. But for the time being, since I'm still waiting on good video equipment and all that, and I've got all kinds of fun gun stuff and camping stuff and all kinds of other stuff planned that I'm gonna do for you. So don't let this post discourage you, okay? Please understand that it is going to get more fun for a lot of you. This particular topic is kind of hard, but I just had a conversation on Facebook that made me feel like I have to do this. I have to share this concept with you. So the question was this: why should or why wouldn't the government allow citizens to have explosives? And the question came from an argument over, guns. Why would the government allow us to have guns? And then I explained that, and he says, well, then why wouldn't the government allow us to have explosives? I said, okay, do you want to extend that? Okay, so here's the question. Why wouldn't the government allow us to have nuclear weapons? Right? Well, the answer to that question is here. Do we allow European countries to have nuclear weapons? The answer to that is no, because we don't have the authority to decide whether or not they have nuclear weapons. Kim Jong-un has nuclear weapons. China, Russia, Pakistan, these are all nuclear countries. These are all places that if our government had the authority, they would not allow any of those to have it. Do you support the idea of our government telling all the other governments of the world that they are not allowed to have the power that they have? Of course you don't. I hope. You might. You might be, that far up the government's rectum to believe that ours is and always will be a government of ultimate peace, and that we would never use anything like that to gain power. If you believe that, you have never read a history book. Never. You have bought into a fantasy that is just not the world that we live in. The reality is, the reason most of those places have nuclear weapons is because our government does. Because our government has such weaponry, the rest of the world had to make it work so that they have a defense just in case our government goes rogue. All right, so then I ask you this: if our government does not have the authority to tell us or to tell those countries that they're not allowed to have nuclear weapons, then what gives them the authority to tell us? I mean, aren't you and I in the same seat as everyone else in the world? Aren't you and I subject to the whim of the United States government? Yeah, right now they're relatively safe, could be argued, but we'll call them relatively safe. There's really no threat that we know of that they're going to launch weapons on our land. So we all feel safe. But let's be realistic. To say that, U.S. citizens should not have nuclear weapons because we don't know what they might do with them is to say, well, Russia should not have nuclear weapons because we don't know what they're going to do with them. England shouldn't have them because we don't know what they're going to do with them. The whole world, everybody but our government is is below the possibility that only our government could ever use them properly. What kind of nonsense thinking is that? That's not clear thinking. You really need to pull your head out of there. It's not a good idea. To tell us that we can't have guns because the government's going to keep us safe. That's stupid. That is just stupid. And it applies to nuclear weapons. Yeah, I'm sorry. Here's reality for you. There are governments, there are people like Kim Jong-un that have nuclear weapons. And we don't like it, and we wish we could take them away from them, but we do not have the authority. We do not have the authority, nor does anybody have the authority to tell us that we can't, including me. If I wanted to own one, I should be free to own one. Who are you to decide what I'm allowed to possess? Now, we get into the question of allowed. There are a lot of people who come from a part of the world where your rights are distributed by the government. They're explained and defined by the government. So the government decides what people are allowed to do. Well, that's not us. That's not what we do. We don't allow and disallow behavior. We punish behavior. The idea that we should disallow somebody from owning something because they could possibly become a threat, that's, I don't know about you if you've ever seen the movie, but precogs, that's precog stuff. We don't have, three little pasty people sitting in a pool telling us what somebody is going to do with their weaponry. So it's really, do we get the authority over other humans because we think they might do something? Do I get to tell somebody, hey, you know what, man, you can't pick that knife up because you might run over here and stab me with it? I don't have that authority. I don't get to tell them that. That's kind of the part of liberty that people keep forgetting. So yeah, we should have, we should not be allowed anything because it's nobody's business to allow anything. If I want nuclear weapons, I build nuclear weapons. If it's within my strength to do it, within my skill to do it, then yeah, I'll do it. If I become a problem, then due process kicks in. That's kind of what society does. When you do something wrong, due process kicks in. Now I know what you're thinking. It'll be too late. I will have already launched that nuclear weapon. Look, we can debate on how to handle those kinds of situations long after we've actually gained freedom. But at this point, we're under the idea that the government is trustworthy with nuclear weapons, and I am not. I've seen the stuff the government does. Dude, I am far more trustworthy with nuclear weapons than anyone in government. So are you. All of you. Everyone I've ever met is more trustworthy with nuclear weapons than anyone I know of in government, in any government, especially Kim Jong-un. If he can have the kind of weaponry he has and we're all still here, then your fear that if I had it is irrelevant, because we know he's a greater threat than I am. We know what he has done in his lifetime. Me, I'm harmless. I'm not going to hurt you. So if I had stockpiles of nuclear weapons, this would be the safest place on the planet, because I would protect you with them, as would you for me. So, let's get our head out of this. The government is holier than thou, and we should ask them permission for everything we do. That's not how we work. You are free. Be free. Be free to subscribe to my channel.